All right, and good morning, everybody. And we are live with the Saturday morning news report. I want to do a little something different with the podcast. And I was watching the news last week, and a couple things caught my eye, and I want to go over them with you. So we're going to start a new thing called Keep Talking 365 News Report. This week, New York City says it's unconstitutional to shut down thousands of marijuana shops in New York City. They did a sweep a couple of months ago, and they closed over 1,000 shops. So now what happens to those shops? What happens to their product? Also, what happened to the $78 million that the sheriff's office didn't come up with when they confiscated the weed and the money? And $78 million didn't add up. Where'd that money go? Jaywalking is now legal in New York City. It was illegal, I guess, for a really long time, and now it's legal. Does anybody really get a ticket for jaywalking? I don't know. I've never got a ticket for jaywalking, but I'll tell you one thing, they are incorporating some really weird laws. I did, however, get a ticket for walking from subway car to subway car to subway car while the subway car was stationary. I received the ticket, $75. I guess maybe jaywalking should become legal because I think it's pretty crazy. AOC is in the news. She says that Mayor Adams should step down. Sounds to me like AOC is trying to make a little run at the mayoral, going after the mayor. I don't know. That mayor seems a little Teflon to me. Maybe he should look into having AOC taken out. I don't know how a guy like Mayor Adams could go about doing that, but Mayor Adams is in a lot of trouble. Also, don't worry, New York City, because in a month, all shelters and all hotels that house migrants/illegal migrants will be emptying and sending them all down to New York City. That reminds me, AOC is making a run at Mayor Adams right now. Mayor Adams doesn't like the fact that the migrants are in his city. I think they're going to push Adams out. And if you live in New York City, good luck because those hotels are going to be packed again. You know, talking about five-star nice hotels. If you're on 42nd Street and you look at the Roosevelt Hotel, which is a famous hotel, it's overrun by these migrants. But I'll get into that another topic. What else we got in the news today? That's going to be one of the last things I talk about. Oh, don't worry about it. Putnam County, Dutchess County, Westchester County, surrounding areas. They caught your man. Fernando Jimenez shot and killed a mother and her two sons. And he was on the run the other day. Nobody could find him. They were shutting schools down. Counties were checking people left and right. But don't worry, they found him. I don't know what goes through somebody's mind where they could pick up a gun and actually point it at people that they care for. Or I don't know where the story came from. Maybe it's just a random act of violence, but it seems to me that they knew each other. So this guy shot and killed a woman, her 10th grade son, and her 13-year-old son. So 3 lives lost by some lunatic named Fernando. Might want to check his green card. Today is the New York City Marathon, everybody. Today is a day when everybody gets together to run 26 miles through the 5 boroughs as we try to keep up with 20 or so Ethiopians. That's right, guys. These Ethiopians have the market cornered on the New York City Marathon. They say it's in the air. They say where they train, high altitude, thin air. I guess they can run anywhere. What else is going on in New York City? There's a big story going on down there in New York City, but we are going to get to that in a second. Actually, we're going to get to that right now. Jury selection. That's right. Jury selection has started in the Daniel Penny case. Now, the Daniel Penny case is starting again because if anybody knows, a couple of months ago, if anybody's watched the video, Daniel Penny was the man that jumped into, I wouldn't say, let me restart this. Daniel Penny is the guy that somebody filmed with a big S on his chest, choking somebody out on the subway. Now, I say he's got an S on his chest because that's kind of how I see it. I kind of see him kind of as a hero that day. But There's a big controversy going on because there was a video the other day of about 6 or 7 Black Lives Matter got people standing out there yelling and screaming with the family of Jordan Neely. Now, the main issue is the other day, anyway, was the fact that this woman that is presiding over the jury selection has presided over a lot of juries in the in the last 20 years or so, where let's just say that the verdict didn't go as the people wanted. But this woman is now involved in the Daniel Penny case. Now, this jury selection is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what they're screaming and yelling about out there in the street is the fact that they are saying that this case right here is all about race. Now, why is this case all about race? The only reason why I see this case being all about race is the fact that Daniel Penny is a white man and Jordan Neely is a black man. And we should know that Jordan Neely was a little crazy. Now that we know that, we went through his medical history. Jordan Neely was harassing people on the subway. We know that. Jordan Neely was menacing people on the subway. And Jordan Neely talked about killing people on the subway. So, this day and age in New York City, everybody has the urge to pick up their cell phone and say, let's film the crazy guy. Instead of what Jordan Neely did. Now, Jordan Neely jumped to action. Like I said, he ripped that brown coat off, had a big S on his chest, and he jumped to action. Put a chokehold on this young man. Now, you see the video. It is a chokehold. Now, this is where the gray area comes in for everybody. Should he have stopped or should he have continued to try to subdue him? Now, as I look at the news today, new video is coming out. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I like to look at things for what they are. And they're not always, as you say, black and white. There are there are stuff in the past. I'm not a complete lunatic. There is racial incidents. Breonna Taylor case, for instance. What happened there? I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. And from what I'm seeing, and I have been looking into it, seems like something fishy was going on there. See, that's a case of a little fishiness, a little tomfoolery. But this case right here is ex-U.S. Marine was on the train and decided to jump into action. Now, they're also trying to say that it's going to make it a case for vigilantism, to make it okay for vigilantism. Now, the way everything is today is the police department really has their hands tied in a lot of cases, meaning they're really not allowed to do anything. They're really not allowed to touch people. They're really not allowed to kick people out of, off the street. They literally have their hands tied and have to watch all this craziness go on. So herein lies people like Daniel Penny and others like him that have just had enough of people behaving badly in New York City. So with this influx of migrants coming into New York City, the Daniel Penny case at peak right now, people are mad. The election is coming up in a couple of days. I'll get to that in a second. Daniel Penny right now jumped into action to try to save lives. And there's a possibility he may go to jail for 15 years and be labeled a racist. Now, that to me does not seem fair. So let's look at this case with an open mind and a broad spectrum and say that, let's be honest, and let's look at stuff for what they are. They're not always black and white. At least 10 were shot dead in Mozambique in post-election protest, 63 injured. Leading up to this election, 73 people have been either murdered or missing. Tensions came when they found a lawyer and an elected official dead in a car 3 days prior to the election. This is how elections are settled in Mozambique, guys. Almost 83 people are dead. Next, we go to, let's rewind a little bit. The beginning of the week. People went to the Trump rally. Trump rally was the other day. Listen, the election's in a couple of days. It's going to be Trump, Trump, Trump. It's going to be Harris, Harris, Harris. It's going to be what are you crazy? What are you crazy? And everybody's going to be fighting about their opinion. The other day, Trump rally. Comedian comes out. Tony Hinchcliffe makes a joke. Calls Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Now, we all know that that may have not been the time or the place. He may have wanted to go down to the Comedy Cellar, or he may want to go to one of these comedy places and say that joke. Whether you think the joke's funny or not, it wasn't the time or place, and I do get it. Do I think Trump was gonna say that joke? No. Now, the counter to this now is a comedian gets up and says a joke, talks about Puerto Rico, floating island of garbage. Now, the counter to this is Joe Biden gets up and says, I know you are, but what am I? But what he really said was Trump supporters are garbage. Now, you could look at this however you want. You could candy coat this however you want. You could actually even take the audio from the video and replace it with other. But there is a video out there of Joe Biden saying Trump supporters are garbage. Now, reverse this. You don't want to reverse it. We all know how that would go. Okay. I think Trump gets himself in trouble for being super honest. Okay. The guy's honest. The guy says what's on his mind. And I think what happens on the other side is they're sneaky and they really don't say what's on their mind. But all I can tell you right now is that Trump rally the other day really put a lot of thought into my head, because the thought that I had the other day was all you hear is Trump's inciting. All you hear is that Trump's a misogynist. Trump's a Nazi. Trump's a fascist. Trump's a communist. Rally, Madison Square Garden, like a Nazi rally. Said this the other day. You're putting a person in a category with somebody who distinguished the lives of 6 million innocent Jews plus. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up here in America, and I didn't grow up in a Nazi country. I didn't grow up in a fascist country. So to use that term so loosely by some of the young population in this day and age, I kind of find it offensive. And I think that if there's people in this country that did grow up in a communist regime, did grow up in a fascist country, did grow up where you got rationed your food, grew up where you watched your parents or your grandparents get beat up because the country can do it. We live in America, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we're fighting over something that, to me, is so irrelevant to the rest of the world. They're watching what's going on. They're watching the arguments. They're watching us fight amongst each other. There's an election on Tuesday. A lot of tomfoolery going on everywhere. I'll say this. I voted the other day, and I voted for Donald Trump. I voted early to make sure I got it out of the way. I wanted to make sure I did it. Now, when I say I voted for Donald Trump, I'm being honest when I say this. When I say I voted for the people he's surrounding himself with. Now, you could say maybe that's why people are voting for Kamala Harris too, but then that's your own agenda. My agenda is Donald Trump brought on two of my favorite politicians that I think along the same lines and think the way they do. When he brought on Tulsi Gabbard and Robert Kennedy Jr., I think should be the president of the United States. So there's two people that he brought on that were Democrats that left their party out of embarrassment. Hillary Clinton tried to bury Tulsi Gabbard, but you can't bury her because she's back and she's on the Republican side now. So if you look at two people that were proud Democrats leave their party and become Republican or side with the Republican, there's something going on. Now you're going to put Robert Kennedy Jr. involved with healthcare. He's going to be involved in food. And he's going to be involved in all stuff that's going to make America great from the inside out, because our food is shit. Our lifestyle is shit. Opioids are destroying this country on a daily basis. So with a man like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of a lot of that, this country is going to be a lot better off. Tulsi Gabbard, smart. She's a veteran. She worked in Hawaii for many years. She was a Democrat, now a Republican, and she's an intelligent woman that knows what's going on. And I'm sure that there's going to be a spot where she's going to make a tremendous contribution to the Trump campaign, which she's already doing. And thirdly came in the last 2 days. Thirdly came in the last 2 days because I'm a person who thinks that I don't know JD Vance. Okay. I never met him. Okay. But when you hear about somebody or when they talk about somebody or they say stuff about somebody, it's like in my job. Somebody else tell me, Murph, that guy's an asshole. I'll say, I'll make my decision on that. So all you hear about JD Vance is he's this holy roller who wants to turn everybody. He hates women because he's completely against abortion. And oh, by the way, Sexy Red tweeted today that she voted for Kamala Harris because what did she say? She said something about we got to protect our coochie. So that's where that side is laying, which I believe in that, and I still voted for Trump. Now I'm speaking on JD Vance because I was blown away by this guy. I watched two interviews with him this week, and my wife turned me on to his, I guess his biopic, Hillbilly. It's called Hillbilly something. The names escape me right now, but I watched that movie too. And when you hear somebody speak and you hear somebody answer questions, like you have to go on shows. And I know everybody's sick of hearing about Joe Rogan, but you have to go on shows like that because he really does ask you questions and he doesn't give you any softballs. And I'll tell you, JD Vance got asked a couple of questions, and A, when he knew the topic, he knew it was he was talking about, and B, when he was asked a question about something he didn't know, he was like an inquisitive child where he asked questions and he wanted to know about it. They spent the last 40 minutes of that interview talking about psychedelics and what they're doing for veterans and so on and so forth. And JD Vance sat there like a 5-year-old, like I say to people, if I don't know something, just explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And he sat there and he listened and he listened. And at the end of the day, that's all we really want is we want these guys to listen to us. Now, those are three reasons right there. Now, I told you in the past, I don't like Trump. I think Trump's a douche. But I think he's surrounding himself with people that are going to make this country great again. And I say that because it's not one man that is going to make this country great. It's everybody in the United States of America. And this polarizing election right now is going to drag on probably, and it's going to divide us even more. Just a little public service announcement when you're talking about the election, guys. Doesn't matter. It matters to you. It matters to America. But when you have close family and you have close friends and people that you love, people that you care about, and people that you have left your children with, or people that are around you that you trust and love, and you don't speak anymore because of the fact that you walked into a booth and voted for Donald Trump, or you walked into a booth and you voted for Kamala Harris. That is a right that we have as US citizens. That is a right that we have to follow some type of laws or rules that we see that are right. That's the way America is. We all have our own opinions, and the differing opinions is what makes America great. So I'm going with the fact that Donald Trump surrounds himself with people that I see in politics that are going in the right direction. So when you want to talk about the election and why people vote, that's fine. But do not let it destroy relationships. I'm going to say it one more time. Do not let this election destroy your relationship with your family or friends. It's not worth it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be us as American citizens that are going to have to stick together. Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you may be, we are all going to have to stick together soon, guys, because I hate to tell you, but one side or the other, they don't give a shit about you either way. The only people that give a shit about you in this country is yourself and your fellow Americans. So let's stop relying more on people and let's stop telling them how to vote or telling them what to do. Let's strike up conversations and find out what's really going on because there's a lot of shit going on and we got to get to the bottom of it. So, my little rant on that. Oh, do I have to get to anything else related to what I just said? All right, in sports, I want to make this sports brief because tomorrow morning the Murph and E-Dub show is going to be come to you, and we're going to elaborate a lot of these stories and have a whole bunch more to say. Yankees lost, guys. Yankees lost. You can't make errors like that. You can't make 3 errors in 1 inning and expect to win the World Series. That's A. B. Juan Soto gone. Most likely going to be a New York Met. Everybody knows I'm a Mets fan. I would love it. I think that would put the Mets completely over the top. It would be crazy. But as a baseball fan, why would he want to stay there at that point? Their leader, their MVP, their all rise, their Aaron Judge had an amazing season, MVP caliber season. But there has to be something said when people and athletes do not come up big. He was small. He didn't do a thing for the Yankees. As a matter of fact, he dropped a fly ball right to him. Listen, I am not a Major League Baseball player, obviously. I am not a professional athlete. I'm an observer of a game in which the Yankees had to win. And Aaron Judge, even the night before, with your little bullshit single, kind of like when A-Rod used to hit home runs. A-Rod would hit home runs when it's 8-2 Yankees, and he would pour on one more home run to make it 9-2. Aaron Judge, you do not have the balls. You do not have the fuck you in you to be the leader of the Yankees. Great regular season baseball player, but the Yankees should have a definite problem with you. Another guy who didn't bring his balls either was, I'm telling you guys, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole, yeah, he came in, struck out the side, but then it was just, he couldn't maintain it. He couldn't maintain that Los Angeles Dodgers offense, which is relentless. Relentless. So, Yankees, maybe you do something next year, get it together, and we'll talk about it, like I said, tomorrow on the Murph and E-Dub show. But you can't make errors in the World Series. It doesn't win baseball games. The Jets played a great second half the other night where they beat a mediocre, maybe a little bit better than mediocre Houston Texans team. Look, they sacked CJ Stroud 8 times. You hear me correctly? 8 times. But you know what? They were running all over the place. The Jets defense cannot stop the run. I'm hoping that maybe this is something that they could build on. I'm hoping that this is something that they could push forward with. I'm hoping that they're on the same page, the offense now. I'm hoping that the defense could get fired up, but I'm still a hopeless Jets fan. Okay. Yes, Aaron Rodgers threw 3 touchdown passes the other night. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but those catches by Garrett Wilson were absolutely incredible. They were amazing catches. Is he maybe coming to? Is he maybe learning the playbook now? Are they maybe switching up the playbook a little bit with that little, that fancy pa the other night with the yak? Now, listen, I was all about that nickname when they drafted him, but the yak needed to hold on to that football for 1 more yard because then it would have been a touchdown. But we had definitely some promising stuff in that kid. And finally, the touchdown pass we've all been waiting for. Davante Adams catches one from Aaron Rodgers. Oh, maybe they're both drinking that cayenne pepper water. I don't care what you say about Aaron Rodgers. I still love him. The Dodgers celebrated their win the other night, and so did their fans. By looting? That's not how we do it in New York, guys. You know, in New York, we get down with the parties and we get down with the celebrations. I don't think we're going to loot our own city because our team won the World Series. So that's how a small portion of the Los Angeles Dodger fans celebrated. And of course, that gets accentuated through the media because that's the point that they like to show us. Bill Belichick's still dating a 24-year-old Instagram model. Or I think that's what she is. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe has something to gain. Maybe she likes to date 80-year-old coaches with saggy balls who've won 6 Super Bowls. I can see the 6 Super Bowls, but I don't know about the saggy balls. But anyway, Belichick's winning right now because he's all over the place and he's dating a young hot girl. Jake Paul is preparing for his death right now. When I say he's preparing for his death right now, I mean that he's not going to, well, he might, depends on how far he wants to push it. And he seems to be pushing it very far right now, but he seems to be preparing for his death. And when I say that, maybe his death of body or death of career, I don't know what it is, but he seems to be pissing Mike Tyson off. Now, if anybody in this world, I'd say that this is still a shtick that they're pushing. It's still something that they're both acting, and they're going to see who could get more mad or who could act madder. Okay. Jake Paul, you are pushing the wrong person right now. You are pushing a guy that's a killer. You are pushing a guy who said outright, if he did not become a boxer, he would be a thief or a thug. That's what he would be. And it's his own admission. That guy is in there. He's 57 years old. So, Jake Paul, if you think you're going to say that stuff, which is fine, you can say what you want. Mike Tyson could choose to say what he wants back, you know. But I think that Mike Tyson is training for this fight. And I think that Jake Paul, this is a matter of you're not really dealing with a stable person. Now, you could come off and be as unstable as you want, but we all know that's an act. We all know your instability and we all know your craziness is part of your act that you put out there to portray yourself as a tough guy. Okay. You're dealing with a real tough guy now. Now, age isn't going to matter in this when you hit that spot on Tyson. And that spot, I mean, when he blacks out and he kills you. So you're barking up the wrong tree with this guy here. I would have to say 99.99% that Mike Tyson is not fucking around. There is that 0.1% that he might be. But Jake Paul, you are preparing for your death. Should Aaron Boone be fired? Maybe. Who's going to replace him? Donnie Baseball's looking for a job. Angel Reese is still complaining, and Caitlin Clark is still doing it. Caitlin Clark, keep doing it. Angel Reese, shut up. The weather, beautiful out there today, guys. Go take on the foliage. Go take a ride. Go take a walk. Hop on your bikes. It's beautiful in the Hudson Valley today. Not a cloud in the sky. Get out and maybe do some yard work. Get out and do something. Go see your loved ones. Tell everybody that you love them. Hang out with that person you haven't seen in a while. Because Tuesday's going to get crazy. Election day is coming, guys. So kiss your loved ones. Tell them you love them. It's a beautiful day. Get out there, see the foliage. And you know what? Let's enjoy the day. In entertainment news, P. Diddy's still in jail. Isn't it amazing that we were flooded with P. Diddy stories in the last couple of days? In the last couple of days, we really haven't heard much. Well, I think that there is a whole bunch of really famous people, really powerful people that are gearing up with lawyers right now. Now, I'm going to have to say that the amount of privileged people, the amount of rich people, the amount of powerful people that are going to come out in this is going to be staggering to a point where there are not going to be enough lawyers to handle all these cases. The amount of money that's going to exchange hands with bribes and this and that is going to be staggering. I wish there was somebody out there that could keep track of this, but I don't think there really is because everything you hear right now is hearsay in entertainment, in the news, in the election. People are even saying that some sports are fixed. What are we doing? Are we living in a simulation? Somebody controlling what's going on? Somebody know what buttons to push? I don't know. But I got to tell you, right now, P. Diddy is in jail. And he fucked up a lot of people. Somebody fuck him up. Is the real demon out there? Is the real devil out there? Catholics, Jews, Muslims, and pick your religion. Your savior needs to come now. We're starting to eat each other from the inside out. I know this report took a turn for the dark. It's true, guys. We are starting to eat each other from the inside out, and it's really dark right now. So your savior needs to come because evil's here, and evil is here to stay unless we come together as a people and not divide. But that's my shtick on P. Diddy. Anything else we got out there that I want to talk about? We talked about the Jordan Neely case. Talked about the Biden Trump supporters. We talked about Sexy Red. One more thing I got to bring up because it made news last week and it's probably going to make news again this week. Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's in the news. Nick Bosa at the end of the 49ers game against Dallas in Texas, in Dallas. Brock Purdy is being interviewed on the sideline and he runs up behind him and shows a MAGA hat. Not a MAGA hat. Are you serious? Guys, what are we doing? We're mad because Nick Bosa put a MAGA hat on. Is that any worse than Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift? All you hear about Taylor Swift is voting for Kamala Harris. Taylor Swift loves Joe Biden. Travis Kelce, are you going to get into a fight with Big Nick Bosa when he shows you his MAGA hat and you walk up and say, hey, sir, can you take off that MAGA hat because my girlfriend told me to? Kelce, you're starting to come into your own. You're starting to kick ass on the football field. But right now, you're a representative of that side, and Nick Bosa is a representative of the other side. It's America. We are supposed to be able to represent ourselves. If we feel a certain way, if we want to say something, it's part of being an American. It's freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression. It's okay if it's on one side, but it's not okay if it's on the other. It doesn't matter. The only expression I want to see is true expression, not lies. And when I say lies, I mean lies on both sides. You guys remember the term yellow journalism? Well, it's really, really happening now. Hearst started it back in the day. Look it up. Why are we allowed to say and do what we want to other candidates? They do it to each other. Why do I got to see an advertisement about Mondaire Jones? I'm going there because he's local. Mondaire Jones wants to defund the police. No, I don't want to defund the police. I've done more for police than any other politician has done. It was 4 years ago. Why am I being labeled for something I said that was dumb? And AOC, Mondaire Jones is good for New York. These are the worst. And I know it's at an all-time high, but these advertisements on both sides are the worst. Why are they allowed to outright lie about each other on commercials on TV? And there's so much out there, and you really have to be a rabbit hole digger to get into a lot of these stories to prove that they're lies. But there's 50-50. Some of it's true and some of it's not. I don't even know how I feel about Mondaire Jones right now. And I'm supposed to be thinking about he's a local politician doing something from up here. I don't know. Seems like a good guy to me. Anyway, Nick Bosa should be able to do whatever the hell he wants. Travis Kelce should be able to date Taylor Swift and talk about the other side. Anybody in the NFL, anybody in the NBA. And like I said the other day, I stress, do not let a celebrity let you know who they're voting for. Take you and persuade you to vote for them just because they're a celebrity. I'm going to remind you, they are rich. They are powerful. They do not need us. They just need the vote. So it's on both sides. So neither of the side cares what you think. They just want the vote. So let's vote with our hearts, vote with our family, and vote what is best for us. And if it comes out, it's a tie, then they really got to look at each other and say, all right, we got to come to some kind of conclusion. But if somebody wins by a landslide, either way, let's keep the violence to a minimum. All right, guys. And that is your Keep Talking 365 report for Saturday morning. And I'll have that out this afternoon as a podcast. And we were just doing this live on November 2nd, 2024. Thank you for paying attention and checking me out. And I'll be doing this every Saturday morning. Thanks a lot, guys.